Okay, going back to Katherine Albrecht. Katherine, this is our long segment here, so let's just go through a cornucopia of the surveillance systems that are violating our rights everywhere. The transhumanist, I've heard you say some really informative things on that subject and how it's being rolled out as trendy to have the microchips put in your brain, not a system of enslavement. Katherine, go over it for us.
Yeah, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, and I've just got a couple of things in the news to kind of anchor some of this. I know you've talked about these things. You know, the Interpol chief calling for a global ID card so they can manage all of this immigration. That is falling right in the hands or right on the heels of L1 Identity Solutions. Now, that's the big biometrics company. It's a U.S. company started by all the CIA spooks and NSA and Homeland Security guys, and they've been making a fortune off of this. They sold the company for billions, literally, to a French company called Safran, S-A-F-R-A-N. Now you've got a French company that owns, it's now the biggest biometrics company on the globe. It is owned by the French government, no less, and now they are in charge of all of our biometrics. It's going global. You've got Interpol saying we need a global ID card. You've got these global companies, and in fact, both L1, you know, which is the biggest company you never heard of, and Safran are both working together saying, hey, you know, this is just going to move us closer to the global management of biometric identities. So there's a big one. You've also got going on sort of here on our soil, you've got this House Judiciary Committee approving a bill, or at least giving a thumbs up, sending it back to the House now, that all ISPs would be required to log all of your internet activities for a period of 1 year. Now, that's heavy because what that means is that without a warrant, law enforcement, this is actually part of the bill, law enforcement would be able to get into those records, pinpoint anybody or everybody. I mean, they could just do it as a blanket and say, I want to know everybody who goes to Infowars.com or to KatherineAlbrecht.com or to StartPage.com or wherever the heck it is, and they would be able to access that list. Now, that bill, I have to say it right here now, that bill cannot stand. We cannot allow that to pass. That's got to be, I think, the biggest battle that we're going to fight in this legislative season is going to be that bill. California has a bill right now requiring all shelter pets to be microchipped. So they're moving sort of through the animals. Let's get the animals chipped, and then once you're used to chipping your pet, then you want to chip your kid, then you want to chip grandma, and then you want to chip the nuclear workers, and then you want to chip, you know, the teachers in the schools.
Reporters reported like 9 years ago that they wanted to forcibly chip, and it was a policy, but when it got attention, they backed off the California prisoners. I mean, this is just they're assailing us with this until we get conditioned to it.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, years ago, the thought of putting a microchip into an animal, there wouldn't be a person in this country who wouldn't be outraged at that and say, you know, mark of the beast, come on, let's be real here. We're talking about transmitting a number, and we know that that can be put into human beings. It's been done. People have had these things implanted in them, in their hands even. So it's a slow wearing down. And, you know, because a human lifespan is relatively short, you know, all the people who were worrying about the Social Security number back in the 1920s, you know, 1930s, they're all dead. And the rest of us are like, yeah, we're born into a world where they make us have a social. You look at the microchips, all of us who are opposing the microchips, you know, at some point down the road, it's going to be a whole new generation. And they've already found that younger people today, they're much more open to this idea of implants that could manage their cell phones or their Facebook contacts.
And at all the big video game conferences, they have speaker after speaker. It's obviously a talking point. Get up and say, soon you're going to have a chip in you that tracks everything you do, and you'll be able to play the game better. And then soon you won't be able to play the game if you don't have the chip. And then you expand out from there. They're just completely selling everyone on accepting this.
Well, and that's part of the matrix that you talk about is once we take these chips into our bodies and we plug our brains into this network, which really is what the transhumanists are talking about. You know, we're going to dump these human bodies. You look at what Ray Kurzweil has to say, and Peter Cochran is another one, COC Rane. He's out of England, and he wrote a horrifying thing about dumping our bodies and becoming cyborgs. And he really sums it up in an essay he wrote. He says there's going to be a point when we're going to just dump these bodies. We will all upload our consciousness into a massive entity, and that entity will be freed from the constraints of gravity and time and space, and it will be able to fly out into the universe looking for other bodies to inhabit. I'm not making that up. Now, if that's not demon possession, I don't know what is. So this notion that our technology is just making life more convenient, you know, the dishwasher helps mom, whatever, that's out the window. These guys are really talking about the next level of technology where we dump these human bags of flesh, which is how they view them, and then we all become one with sort of this master global consciousness. And I got to say, when I read the Bible and I read the book of Revelation and it talks about the beast of the end time that will control everything, I say, you know, that's exactly what that's going to look like. Because if we build it, you know, it's like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. As we build this system, you know, Google, and I want to get into Google in a minute, they want to be the mind of God. That's an actual quote from one of the Google founders. They want to be the mind of God. So if we create this and we've got the ability to be omniscient and have everyone uploaded into it and interconnected with it and brain merged with it, then that is going to be the perfect storm for Satan, the beast, to come in and say, you know, mwahaha, I now own you. And, you know, you look at what the mark of the beast is about, and I really think, you know, and I've sat with this since I was 8 years old, I really think this idea of needing a mark to buy and sell, and it's not just taking the mark that damns you, it's worshiping the beast. There's going to be a moment at some point in our future, maybe not so far off, where you're going to be asked, listen, you're going to swear allegiance, you're going to take this thing, and when you do it, you will be changed. And you're going to be changed spiritually. Something's going to happen. It would not surprise me, Alex, and, you know, I've thought about even writing a novel about this, if it wasn't that you literally upload your soul into something for permanent safekeeping. It'll be, quote-unquote, immortal.
And by the way, this is all quackery. It's like for decades, they ended up imprisoning tens of thousands of innocent people with their stupid lie detector test. And then now they have high-tech brain scanners that they claim. And then they show the jury, look, the blinking lights say you're guilty. It's like, Mr. Rockefeller, you've paid us $10 billion. Now you're not going to die. We're uploading your soul. Yes, sir. And it'll be a computer program that can talk to you. It may even be sentient. And they've already got computers here that can make decisions, do puzzles very well, and beat humans. And so you won't be able to converse. It'll sound like David Rockefeller. It'll be like, good, now I can die. I live forever. And it's just a total con. Don't forget, there's a lot of quackery involved here. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think there's such enormous spiritual pieces to this, and anybody who doesn't feel the spiritual battle is, you know, they need to get on their knees and pray a little bit.
Satan wants to be God, and he's using this creation to try to build it.
Well, you got it. And the thing about Satan is, you know, obviously he's never going to be God. He's going to shake his tiny fist at God. His efforts to replicate God's powers are so pathetic, and they always fall short, and they always fail, and they always have a downside. And this idea, you know, only God can give us immortality. Only God can give us eternal life. But Satan's going to say, and I really believe this is going to happen, at some point, listen, you know, you're going to die at age 80 or 90. Maybe we can get you up to 100, but eventually you're going to die. But if you upload into this matrix, you will live forever. And when people make that bargain, when they worship that and make that bargain and upload themselves into that, that's going to be the moment when they lose their souls. And their soul will not be redeemable at that point. It will belong to Satan. The Bible's very clear on that. Now, you may think, and I'm sure there's listeners out there going, wow, Catherine's really gone off the deep end. But let me tell you, this is not me speaking. This is the people on the other side clearly spelling this out. They say it in clear as I'm saying it.
Kurzweil says that people who won't take this will just be put in ghettos and then basically won't be needed. They're all writing about that. And
they're writing about the spiritual piece of it too, Alex. They're writing about the worship component. They're writing about a new religion.
Kurzweil quote says in the tagline for his movie that I know you've seen and talked about, The Transcendent Man, he says, I don't believe in God yet. I'm going to be God.
That's Right. Yeah, and that's the ultimate sin. And, that's the problem. What did Satan promise Adam and Eve in the garden?
You will be as gods.
You got it. And so Kurzweil is just like the snake with the apple, however many years later, he's like the snake with the apple making you the same promise.
No, they're going to download into your brain a wirehead, total ecstasy program. You'll go, I'm God, and then and go, I must transcend and meet the Hellbop comet. I'm killing my physical body. That's what they write about in their weird nihilistic writings.
They do, and it's religious.
Well, they're no different than people putting on the white Nikes and the black outfits and taking barbiturates and drinking vodka.
Yeah, it is absolutely a cult. They're a bunch of complete
lunatics.
Totally. And it's religion.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, people often will say to me, Catherine, I love everything you do except that Christian stuff. And I say, dude, take a look at who we're fighting, because those people will absolutely talk religion to you. They will absolutely. You read their writing.
They're the ones that always push the atheist thing just so you're not looking at religion, but that everything they do is obsessed with the occult and how they're going to be God, and they don't want you looking at religion because they don't want you, quote, getting their Lucifer power, which they are guarding, and then they hate Christians. And so they're like, there's nothing going on. There's no spirits. Oh, great goblin, give me power. I mean, they're just obsessed with it.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. So the people I would recommend people look at, Peter Cochrane, Cochrane. His website's really dark. It's all futuristic. He's got a bunch of stuff out there on that. Obviously, Ray Kurzweil is the guy who's probably achieved the most, bestseller status.
They say they will destroy the earth to keep on willing, and they just talk like total power tripping lunatics.
Yeah. I know, and it plays right into their hands that the earth is becoming polluted. People are getting sick. Our bodies are breaking down because the more pollutants you put out there, the more people who get cancer. I mean, believe me, Alex, there have been times over the last 6 months I've thought, I'd love to dump this body. It's betrayed me. It's not working so good right now, and it's tough to go through cancer treatment.
Catherine, that's the lie. They've added the poisons in on record to make normal life, normal birth impossible. Total sterilization, where you've got to go to them and have the man and woman cells spliced. And then you think you're getting your baby with your genetics, but they can add their Trojan horse piggybacks in, just like they've done with GMO. That's why they're destroying all the crops and all the human and animal genetics while building giant underground animal and plant armored vaults.
And people hear this, Alex, and they say, oh, that couldn't be possible. They could never coordinate something that large. Let me tell you, once you understand the spiritual piece of this, and you understand that we're not battling flesh and blood, but we are in an enormous spiritual battle on this planet right now. Once you get that, and you understand that there are chess pieces that are black and they're being moved on the board, and there's chess pieces that are white being moved on the board, there is a battle raging, and I'm sure it's raging in the heavens too.
Look, the New Agers, if they can't get it, it's a spirit of the air. You can't see it. You can call it a space invader if you want, but there is the mystery of evil. There is there is a coordinating force outside of humans. You can call it spiritual, or you can call it whatever it is. And the elitists believe that. They believe they're being directed. Yeah.
Yes, do they ever? Absolutely. So, and let me just, from a practical perspective, because I hate leaving people just going, yeah, this is so creepy. There are practical things you can do. There are companies that you need to be paying more attention to. Facebook, I'm so glad, has come to the public's awareness with all of the privacy issues. I'm so glad Zuckerberg's sister came out and just said it like it is. We want to eliminate anonymity. We want to make sure.
Schmidt came out and said, hey, we're watching you, big deal. You shouldn't do it if you don't want to be watched.
That's right. And then, of course, he's the guy who wants his own stuff hidden, so don't even get me going on that guy. But, Google's saying they want to be the mind of God. They got a picture of your house from a satellite. They're doing the drive-by thing. They're reading all of your email, and I always point this out. If you have a Gmail account, every email you write and send is being scanned. Keywords are going into your profile. They're watching everything. So hopefully we can get
folks,
the start
you think
page.
You're looking at a crystal ball and getting data with Google, but Sauron's looking back the other side. They are watching everything, and you're telling them what's really in your mind, where you're going, what you're doing. And it was In-Q-Tel money, CIA money founded it, Pig, Schmidt, all of them. They're just total front-level minions.